Alright everyone, there's a video out there using a dispenser to create a 5-minute despawn timer. I've done a similar thing in Redstone. The advantage it offers is that you don't have to constantly reload something with feathers. While I agree that feathers are effectively an unlimited resource, especially with the device that he's using the 5-minute timer on, what I would say is that it constantly requires you to reload it, at least somewhat frequently. And that's kind of, an irritant, and it would be nice if that wasn't needed. So this fixes that weakness. It comes with the costs though. It definitely costs more redstone, at least I'm pretty sure. From what I could tell, this is probably more than what it took to build that. But the win that it affords is that it doesn't have that function where you have to reload it. An analog solution, like he does in a lot of his stuff with boats and minecarts and things, is really cool. But in this instance, I don't think it's the appropriate solution. Redstone is very exact on its timing, and you can do a lot of very specific things with a digital device that uses that to its advantage. In this case, I think it's the most suited thing for what we're trying to do here. So you can look at the timestamp on the video to confirm this. It comes out to be like 5 minutes and 5 seconds. So I'm going to press the button now, make a note of the timestamp, and I'll sort of start describing how this works. Then I'll start to chill by this torch over here once it starts to become close to time to check on that. So I'll go down in like 4 minutes and chill over there. This is a 49 clock. It's an inverter clock, like a 5 clock. It's unlikely you'll ever need to make one this big, usually. The only reason it's that big is so that this torch, which is 50% on, 50% off, pulses rather slowly. The fewer inverters, the faster it goes, and, obviously in the direction. This little device runs through one inverter on this side, 6 through the other. 4 works, but it is a little bit glitchy when you reload your world file, because it's a little quick. 6, is a little bit more stable. Basically the same principles of why 3 clock doesn't work, just like very quick redstone pulses cause the game to bug a little bit. So that device takes that 50%, and shortens it into a very short pulse. I'll just kind of stand here for a second, you'll see it, yeah. So that's clearly not 50-50, as that torch over there is. Reason being is that just pulses the clock once, rather than giving it a whole bunch of inputs and then not giving it for a while and causing it to sort of jerk a little bit. So the way this operates is you could conceivably make an inverter clock that times out 5 minutes, but it would take a really long snake. That's not too bad to make, in all honesty. It takes a little bit of time and a little bit of accuracy, but it's not bad. The way these cells work is each one will cycle twice as slow as the previous one. They're 6 blocks long apiece. And they have a function that they perform. They're triggered to do this whenever they realize that state is in effect, which is if all the cells previous to me are in the on state while I'm in the off state, then the thing I need to do is set all of them to off and me to on. And the first cell gets periodically set by that inverter clock. I arrived here a little too soon, I think. I'll just chill anyway while I explain. So, and I'll kind of move the mouse around so that no one accuses me of doing a video cut. I'll also upload the world file to further prove that this does work, so you can try it yourself. And so basically how it works is that functionality happens, so in much the same way that it takes 10 times as long to count to 100 as it does to count to 10. In binary, since every digit represents twice as many, instead of in decimals we use 10 times as many, each digit takes twice as long to get to, and it basically has this counter effect. So it counts, it starts at 0, then the first bit gets set and it's 1, and then it becomes 1, 0 because the second bit does its thing. And then the first bit gets set again, so now it's 1, 1. The third bit does its thing, and then it becomes 1, 0, 0. We're counting this way, so it's 1, 0, 0. So then it gets the first bit gets set, so it's 101. Then the second bit does its thing. It is the realization that all bits previous to it are on and it is off. So it sets itself and then sets everything previous to it. So it becomes 110. Then the first bit gets set, it's 111. Now the fourth cell does its thing, so then it becomes 1000, and that keeps happening. And it takes twice as long to set each bit along the line, and the sixth cell here is approximately 5 minutes. The one previous to it is about 2.5, and so on down the line. If you add another one on the end, it would be about 10 minutes, and also about 10 seconds. It's about 5:05, the timing on this, which is really very close. You're not going to anything closer than that. That's really good enough. I'm just going to keep chilling here. Eventually this will get set. You can check the timestamp on the video from when I press the button and discover that sure enough it's a pretty good measurement of 5 minutes. So that's this torch is then ignited when all the cells are on, when it's 111111 in this case. That causes this to ignite. And then once this happens, should be any time soon here, I'll walk around and show some of the things which I've made to be sort of analogous to some of the things on his device. So if you wired this up in the way that it works on his thing, you could sort of interchange the parts. You would just bury this under the ground and use it instead of whatever he's using to achieve that effect. So this is going to set in eventually. Yeah, see, so you can check the timestamp on the video now and see that I wasn't lying. It is in fact approximately 5 minutes. It's like 5 minutes and 5 seconds when I timed it. I don't know how that's going to turn out because I wasn't recording with fraps at the time, and frame rate does have an effect on Redstone because it's based on frame rate, but it's kind of marginal. It doesn't change too much. So whoa, I guess I'm loading chunks or something. Huh. So this is equivalent to his pressure plate, which resets the thing. This takes the clock, which is currently in the 111111 state, and when I hit it, it sets it to the 000000 state. This torch goes out, obviously, because it's not in the final state. And it will also mean that now when I press this button again, I can start the clock. Previously to that, it just set this memory cell, which then continuing to hit the button wouldn't do anything. This button turns this on, that turns this off, and this on, and then, so this torch being powered, this torch being unpowered, powers this block. Continuing to power the block with the button will achieve nothing. So hitting that, unsets everything and allows you to, it makes the pressure plate he used for the items to, have an effect again. I think I mentioned that I'm going to upload this. This should appear in the description of the video. So yeah, its wins are that it doesn't require you to constantly reload a dispenser with items, which is a manual reset, and I really don't like manual resets for anything other than like bomb triggers or something, something where you really only need it once. That's the only time I really think I'm okay with that. This will work forever. It's repeatable. It's a non-issue. And so this is like that reset thing, and that's like that output torch. You can wire this up to a clock so that it doesn't allow the clock to cycle like a 5 clock when it's receiving that signal, and when it stops receiving the signal, so you'd use like this torch instead. I just made this so that it would light up, so it was pretty crystal clear to everyone. Then that would cause the clock to cycle around and cause a torch to blink. That's a pretty straightforward redstone thing. I'm pretty sure anyone can figure out. So leave comments and questions and anything you want. I'll address them if there's something that needs to be addressed. I can talk about that and take care of it. I don't want to run over on file size or length, so I'm going to cut it here. But ask any questions, comments. I'll explain anything I need to. Cheers.